Hello and welcome to another episode of Brit in Poland. In this episode we are going to talk about spring, more specifically Marzanna and a festival known as Jare Gody. Please forgive me if I look a bit tired. I've not had the best of health recently. If you go to the mountains, make sure you wear the right clothing. But anyway, one of the things I love about Poland is it has so many traditions that its people will stick to. And the tradition of Jare Gody may not be followed so much in the big cities, but is certainly followed in many of the villages still. It's a kind of pagan ritual. Some say it dates back to prehistoric times, and it is the celebration of the end of winter and the beginning of spring. And this video should hopefully give you some useful information about Slavic traditions. Dzień dobry and welcome to A Brit in Poland. With this channel, I travel across the country, I bring you the culture, and I show you just how amazing Poland is. So I invite you on my journey. If you want to see more, I have Facebook and Instagram profiles, which you will find links to in the description below. And if you want to really help out, you can turn to my Patreon or Patronite accounts, again in the description. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Do zobaczenia. So in order to celebrate this tradition this year, we utilized a very useful asset in our group, Marta. She has helped us with a number of, let's say, traditional Polish kind of ceremonies, events. We did Andrzejki with her. You can check out my video on that. And through her, she was able to put together a bit of a game, a bit of a task to help us understand a bit more of the traditions that are associated with this time of year. This video is a bit separate to my kind of Easter in Poland videos, because this is much more of like a kind of a prequel. Because the events that happen with Jare Gody typically happen around March 21st, so the vernal equinox. Also my brother's birthday. I didn't forget this year. So we're going to talk about some of the gods involved, some of the traditions, some of the rituals, and show our group having fun with some of the games that were set out for us. So I think it will be quite an interesting video, especially if you're interested in Polish culture or just Slavic culture in general. So an important thing to note is the ancient Slavs were a pagan culture, so polytheistic. They believed in many gods, very similar to kind of Greek, Roman religion, which I absolutely adored in my years of university. I remember I even once put myself down as pagan on the census, slightly jokingly, but I don't know, for me, it makes religion and belief a lot more colourful, a lot more interesting. So one of the first gods that we took into account is the god Perun, or Perun, and he was the god of storms and war. So I've read online that traditionally one thing that's done for Easter to kind of appease this god is to wash the windows and to clean your living space. We approached this slightly differently. So we made some talismans that were going to ward off any trouble from him, to keep the skies clear and to keep us safe on our journey. And we had a few runic symbols that we could put onto these, and I think people just had a lot of fun with a few markers and a few wooden dolls to really bring this tradition to life. So I don't know how much these wooden dolls are actually part of the tradition, but it just seemed like a lot of fun. To further appease Perun, we had a trial of strength, which we represented by a tug of war with two teams of our valiant villagers going at odds with each other to see who was the strongest. All in order to gain Perun's favor, which I think is something everyone would really want to have. Our next task was to appease another god, a god who is very significant at this time of year, who is Jaryło, or I hope I pronounced that right. But Jaryło is, I believe, the god of spring, the god of warmth. I think there's probably some fertility in there. And the task we had to welcome this god to clear away winter was our teams would have to build a broom from sticks and twine and reeds, whatever they could find, and they would have to chant Jaryło's name to gain his favor while sweeping the area. Traditionally more done in people's homes, and I guess it maybe overlaps a little bit with Perun's traditions, but this was quite fun. So yeah, our teams were certainly doing all they could to sweep away winter and welcome spring, as my hair does a cockatoo. So in further preparation for spring and to really usher in Jaryło, our teams would have to churn butter, because it's important to hold a feast for the beginning of spring, and butter is an essential part of that feast. And I think our teams had a lot of fun with this one. They were churning that butter for pretty much the whole journey for the rest of the task. Next, our valiant questers had the task of locating a hidden doll, and there was a series of dolls known as Marzanna, and these were made without scissors or thread, I believe. And these were known as kind of like ancient protective talismans, and they had no face. And it said they had no face because then they couldn't be possessed by evil spirits. And there were somewhat like 4 different kinds of doll, I think. There was one of good wishes, one of grain, one of travel, and Baba Yaga. And these all granted certain different kind of prosperities and luck to those that held them, with Baba Yaga being maybe a more familiar term. She's certainly revered in other places like Romania and I think Bulgaria, places like that. But yeah, so our team found the doll, and hence they were blessed. So finally we get to Marzanna herself. Marzanna is the kind of demon of winter, a witch, someone that has to be banished in order for spring to come in and shine. So our teams had to prepare their own doll. So initially they had to gather materials. They had to gather wood to kind of have the framework for the doll. They had to gather straw so that we had, kind of like a scarecrow almost, but more in doll form. And then our organizer, Marta, also arranged for there to be various materials. So fabrics in order to clothe the doll. There were various decorations such as bows, ribbons, patches and the like. Of course, they had to give her a face, make her hair, everything. And I think this was the most fun part. We had some people, quite diligently working on making Marzanna. And I stress Marzanna. For a while I was saying Marzanna, and Marzanna is the name of a Polish woman, so definitely don't get the two mixed up, or you could get in trouble with the police, because the next thing you need to do is, traditionally you would need to burn Marzanna, not Marzanna. Do not burn any Marzannas. And then while the doll was on fire, you had to throw it into the river. And there were a few extra traditions around this, such as you can't throw it over your shoulder, you cannot touch Marzanna after it's been put into the water. If you trip and fall during all of this, it might be an omen of your upcoming death. So there's a lot to bear in mind to do this safely. Now, I think technically in Warsaw, activities like this are not strictly allowed anymore, but I'll stress that when we did this, the doll was fully biodegradable. Much of it was burnt before it went into the river, as you'll see. And we didn't throw it from any bridge or anything like that, which might be considered a bit more dangerous. Initially we wanted to find some village that was practicing it, but we thought it would be a lot more fun to do this on our own. But I hope this video has given you a nice insight into additional Slavic culture, some additional practices, myths surrounding spring. And all of this is a bit of a precursor to Easter. So I do invite you to watch some of my other videos on Easter to learn a little bit more about some of the Christian as well as the other Slavic traditions associated with this beautiful time of year. So thank you for watching. Please stay tuned, like and subscribe. Do zobaczenia.